Hey guys, I want to talk about something that's making me mad. Coming up in just a second. So, by now you've heard that 4 United States senators have been accused of trading stock based on insider information, and making over $1 million in stock sales um, before, let's just say that before the rest of us had enough information to really act, right? Um, Now, I want to put that out there, and I'm going to name the senators and the states they represent and the political affiliation for you here, just for sake of education and information. First, we've got Senator Richard Burr, my senator from the great state of North Carolina. Go Tar Heels. Um, he is a Republican. And then Kelly Loeffler. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her name right. She is a Republican from the great state of Georgia. And Diane Feinstein, who is a Democrat from the state of California. And then finally, in this one, I want to talk a little bit more about, because I'm not entirely sure that this is coronavirus related, but Jim Inhof. He's a Republican from the state of Oklahoma. And I'll expand on this in a little bit. But I think what broke this story was that NPR came out with a recording from a private meeting that Richard Burr had, and Senator Burr addressed a group of let's just say stakeholders, potentially political contributors from his home state, business owners and executives in Fortune 500 companies from the state of North Carolina, and gave them a message about the coronavirus that had a little bit different tone than what the rest of America was receiving in terms of how serious this could be.
There's one thing that I can tell you about this. It is much more aggressive in its transmission than anything that we have seen in recent history. It's probably more akin to the 1918 pandemic.
What's particularly upsetting about this is that they had information that the rest of us didn't have. And whether or not you have money in the stock market, this should bother you, because if you had money in the stock market and you had the clarity of information that they had, you would be able to make a similar decision and get. But if you wanted to get out of the stock market, you could to potentially avoid the downside. And who knows how many other senators were involved in this and aren't implicated. Now, I want to talk about something that I think is not talked about enough. We need term limits for these people. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. They should only be allowed to serve a certain amount of time. The fact that these politicians are able to make careers out of this is problematic. This is not what our founding fathers envisioned. The original founders of our country saw the government work, the participation in Congress and the Senate as service. They attached a reasonable salary to it, but they never saw it as becoming somebody's career. It was a part-time thing that you would do, kind of like if you're a white-collar businessman nowadays or a businesswoman and you want to serve on a corporate board. It's kind of like that. You do it part-time. There might be a little bit of salary for it, but it's not your primary job. So all of these crooks need term limits. And I would suggest, if you're interested in my opinion, a term limit of 6 years. That would give senators, you can serve 1 term, and then members of the House of Representatives, 3 terms. You could do multiples of 6. You might be able to twist my arm and convince me that the term limits should be 12 years. As long as we have a limit on it, I'm good with it. But 18 years is way too long. That's half of a career. So let's, with that in mind, Senator Burr has been in the Senate for 15 years. Now, Senator Loeffler from Georgia, I think she just started. So she's at the very beginning of her career in the Senate. She comes from the business world, so she already has money. from her career as an executive. One thing I do want to point out, though, about the media is they were just on fire with this. And they downplay Diane Feinstein because she's a Democrat. And they were just going to town with this when it was 3 Republicans. And then they were like, oh, wait a minute, there's actually 1 Democrat that's involved. We got to be intellectually honest with her and include her. But if you go out and read articles on this, Diane Feinstein is buried way down in the article, and of course the Republicans are given prominence in the article. But Diane Feinstein, 28 years in the Senate. This is just too long, and you know, this kind of the fact that these people have so much money should tell you something, right? There's just something basically wrong with the fact that these politicians can make careers out of this work. And the last one I want to talk about, because Jim Inhof, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He sold his stock on January 29th. That was pretty early on in this thing. I'm not entirely sure that the media has this right and that he was motivated by the coronavirus. I could be wrong. He, you know, maybe he has really good financial advisors and they were like, you know what, this thing's gonna be bad, get out now. Maybe that's the case. But this guy has been in the Senate since 1967. That was before I was born. That's insane, that you can serve this long. Let me know what you guys think. Should we have term limits for these people? Let's get on our politicians to vote themselves term limits. Yeah, that's going to happen, but it's got to happen. I mean, if we're going to stop the corruption that is inherent with all of these crooks, we need to put this in place. So let me know what you think. Comment in the section below. Like the video if you like it, and please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Haseen here at Noisehound. See you next time.